camels to the cave of the mountain of Thawr in the morning after 3 nights later, and when they set out, Amir bin Fuhaira and the guide went along with them, and the guide led them along the seashore. The nephew of Suraka bin Jusham said that his father informed him that he heard Suraka bin Jusham saying, "The messengers of the heathens of Quraysh came to us declaring that they had assigned for the persons why would kill or arrest Allah's apostle and Abu Bakr, a reward equal to their blood money. While I was sitting in one of the gatherings of my tribe, Bani Mudlij, a man from them, came to us and stood up while we were sitting and said, 'O Suraka, no doubt I have just seen some people far away on the seashore and I think they are Muhammad and his companions.' Suraka added, 'I too realized that it must have been they. But I said, no, it is not they, but you have seen so-and-so and so-and-so whom we saw set out.' I stayed in the gathering for a while and then got up and left for my home, and ordered my slave girl to get my horse which was behind a hillock, and keep it ready for me. Then I took my spear and left by the back door of my house, dragging the lower end of the spear on the ground and keeping it low. Then I reached my horse, mounted it and made it gallop. When I approached them, that is Muhammad and Abu Bakr, my horse stumbled, and I fell down from it. Then I stood up, got hold of my quiver, and took out the divining arrows, and drew lots as to whether I should harm them, that is the Prophet and Abu Bakr, or not, and the lot which I disliked came out. But I remounted my horse and let it gallop, giving no importance to the divining arrows. When I heard the recitation of the Quran by Allah's apostle, who did not look hither and thither while Abu Bakr was doing it often, suddenly the forelegs of my horse sank into the ground up to the knees, and I fell down from it. Then I rebuked it, and it got up but could hardly take out its forelegs from the ground, and when it stood up straight again, its forelegs caused dust to rise up in the sky like smoke. Then again I drew lots with the divining arrows, and the lot which I disliked came out. So I called upon them to feel secure. They stopped, and I remounted my horse and went to them. When I saw how I had been hampered from harming them, it came to my mind that the cause of Allah's apostle, that is Islam, will become victorious. So I said to him, "Your people have assigned a reward equal to the blood money for your head." Then I told them all the plans the people of Mecca had made concerning them. Then I offered them some journey food and goods, but they refused to take anything and did not ask for anything, but the Prophet said, "Do not tell others about us." Then I requested him to write for me a statement of security and peace. He ordered Amr bin Fuhaira, who wrote it for me on a parchment, and then Allah's apostle proceeded on his way. Narrated Urwa bin Az-Zubair. Allah's apostle met Az-Zubair in a caravan of Muslim merchants who were returning from Sham. Az-Zubair provided Allah's apostle and Abu Bakr with white clothes to wear. When the Muslims of Medina heard the news of the departure of Allah's apostle from Mecca towards Medina, they started going to the Hara every morning. They would wait for him till the heat of the noon forced them to return. One day, after waiting for a long while, they returned home, and when they went into their houses, a Jew climbed up the roof of one of the forts of his people to look for something, and he saw Allah's apostle and his companions dressed in white clothes emerging out of the desert mirage. The Jew could not help shouting at the top of his voice, "O you Arabs, here is your great man whom you have been waiting for." So all the Muslims rushed to their arms and received Allah's apostle on the summit of Hara. The Prophet turned with them to the right and alighted at the quarters of Bani Amr bin Auf, and this was on Monday in the month of Rabi'ul Awal. Abu Bakr stood up, receiving the people while Allah's apostle sat down and kept silent. Some of the Ansar who came and had not seen Allah's apostle before began greeting Abu Bakr, but when the sunshine fell on Allah's apostle and Abu Bakr came forward and shaded him with his sheet, only then the people came to know Allah's apostle. Allah's apostle stayed with Bani Amr bin Auf for 10 nights and established the mosque of Quba, which was founded on piety. Allah's apostle prayed in it and then mounted his she-camel and proceeded on, accompanied by the people till his she-camel knelt down at the place of the mosque of Allah's apostle at Medina. Some Muslims used to pray there in those days, and that place was a yard for drying dates belonging to Suhail and Saul, the orphan boys who were under the guardianship of Asad bin Zurara. When his she-camel knelt down, Allah's apostle said, "This place, Allah willing, will be our abiding place." Allah's apostle then called the 2 boys and told them to suggest a price for that yard so that he might take it as a mosque. The 2 boys said, "No, but we will give it as a gift, O Allah's apostle." Allah's apostle then built a mosque there. The Prophet himself started carrying unburnt bricks for its building, and while doing so he was saying, "This load is better than the load of Khaybar," for it is more pious in the sight of Allah, and purer and better rewardable. He was also saying, O Allah, the actual reward is the reward in the hereafter, so bestow your mercy on the Ansar and the emigrants. Thus the Prophet recited, by way of proverb, the poem of some Muslim poet whose name is unknown to me. Ibn Shihab said, in the hadiths it does not occur that Allah's apostle recited a complete poetic verse other than this one. Volume 5, Book 58, number 246, narrated by Asma. I prepared the journey food for the Prophet and Abu Bakr when they wanted to migrate to Medina. I said to my father, Abu Bakr, I do not have anything to tie the container of the journey food with except my waist belt. He said, divide it lengthwise into two. I did so, and for this reason I was named Dat-un-Nitakain, that is the owner of two belts. Ibn Abbas said, Asma, Dat-un-Nitak. Volume 5, Book 58, number 247, narrated by Al-Bara. When the Prophet migrated to Medina, Suraka bin Malik bin Jusham pursued him. The Prophet invoked evil on him, therefore the forelegs of his horse sank into the ground. Suraka said to the Prophet, invoke Allah to rescue me, and I will not harm you. The Prophet invoked Allah for him. Then Allah's apostle felt thirsty and he passed by a shepherd. Abu Bakr said, I took a bowl and milked a little milk in it and brought it to the Prophet, and he drank till I was pleased. Volume 5, Book 58, number 248, narrated by Asma, that she conceived, Abdullah bin Az-Zubair. She added, I migrated to Medina while I was at full term of pregnancy and alighted at Quba where I gave birth to him. Then I brought him to the Prophet and put him in his lap. The Prophet asked for a date, chewed it, and put some of its juice in the child's mouth. So, the first thing that entered the child's stomach was the saliva of Allah's apostle. Then the Prophet rubbed the child's palate with a date and invoked for Allah's blessings on him, and he was the first child born amongst the emigrants in the Islamic land, that is Medina. Volume 5, Book 58, number 249, narrated by Aisha. The first child who was born in the Islamic land, that is Medina, amongst the emigrants was Abdullah bin Az-Zubair. They brought him to the Prophet. The Prophet took a date, and after chewing it, put its juice in his mouth. So the first thing that went into the child's stomach was the saliva of the Prophet. Volume 5, Book 58, number 250, narrated by Anas bin Malik. Allah's apostle arrived at Medina with Abu Bakr, riding behind him on the same camel. Abu Bakr was an elderly man known to the people, while Allah's apostle was a youth that was unknown. Thus, if a man met Abu Bakr, he would say, O Abu Bakr, who is this man in front of you? Abu Bakr would say, this man shows me the way. One would think that Abu Bakr meant the road, while in fact Abu Bakr meant the way of virtue and good. Then Abu Bakr looked behind and saw a horse rider pursuing them. He said, O Allah's apostle, this is a horse rider pursuing us. The Prophet looked behind and said, O Allah, cause him to fall down. So the horse threw him down and got up neighing. After that the rider, Suraka, said, O Allah's Prophet, order me whatever you want. The Prophet said, stay where you are and do not allow anybody to reach us. So in the first part of the day Suraka was an enemy of Allah's Prophet, and in the last part of it he was a protector. Then Allah's apostle alighted by the side of the Al-Hara, and sent a message to the Ansar, and they came to Allah's Prophet and Abu Bakr, and having greeted them they said, ride your she-camels, safe, and obeyed. Allah's apostle and Abu Bakr rode, and the Ansar, carrying their arms, surrounded them. The news that Allah's Prophet had come circulated in Medina. The people came out and were eagerly looking and saying, Allah's Prophet has come, Allah's Prophet has come. So the Prophet went on till he alighted near the house of Abu Ayyub. While the Prophet was speaking with the family members of Abu Ayyub, Abdullah bin Salam heard the news of his arrival, while he himself was picking the dates for his family from his family garden. He hurried to the Prophet carrying the dates which he had collected for his family from the garden. He listened to Allah's Prophet and then went home. Then Allah's Prophet said, which is the nearest of the houses of our kith and kin? Abu Ayyub replied, mine, O Allah's Prophet, this is my house and this is my gate. The Prophet said, go and prepare a place for our midday rest. Abu Ayyub said, get up both of you, with Allah's blessings. So when Allah's Prophet went into the house, Abdullah bin Salam came and said, I testify that you, that is Muhammad, are apostle of Allah and that you have come with the truth. The Jews know well that I am their chief and the son of their chief and the most learned amongst them and the son of the most learned amongst them. So send for them, that is Jews, and ask them about me before they know that I have embraced Islam, for if they know that they will say about me things which are not correct. So Allah's apostle sent for them, and they came and entered. Allah's apostle said to them, O the group of Jews, woe to you, be afraid of Allah. By Allah, except whom none has the right to be worshipped, you people know for certain that I am apostle of Allah, and that I have come to you with the truth, so embrace Islam. The Jews replied, We do not know this. So they said this to the Prophet, and he repeated it thrice. Then he said, What sort of a man is Abdullah bin Salam amongst you? They said, He is our chief, and the son of our chief, and the most learned man, and the son of the most learned amongst us. He said, What would you think if he should embrace Islam? They said, Allah forbid, he cannot embrace Islam. He said, What would you think if he should embrace Islam? They said, Allah forbid, he cannot embrace Islam. He said, What would you think if he should embrace Islam? They said, Allah forbid, he cannot embrace Islam. He said, O Ibn Salam, come out to them. He came out and said, O, the group of Jews, ain't ye afraid of Allah except whom none has the right to be worshipped? You know for certain that he is apostle of Allah and that he has brought a true religion. They said, You tell a lie. On that, Allah's apostle turned them out. Volume 5, Book 58, number 251, narrated by Ibn Umar. Umar bin al-Khattab fixed a grant of 4,000 dirhams for every early emigrant, that is muhajir, and fixed a grant of 3,500 dirhams only for Ibn Umar. Somebody said to Umar, Ibn Umar is also one of the early emigrants, why do you give him less than 4,000? Umar replied, His parents took him with them when they migrated, so he was not like the one who had migrated by himself. Volume 5, Book 58, number 252, narrated by Kebab. We migrated with Allah's apostle, see Hadith number 253 below. Volume 5, Book 58, number 253, narrated by Kebab. We migrated with Allah's apostle seeking Allah's countenance, so our rewards became due and sure with Allah. Some of us passed away without eating anything of their rewards in this world. One of these was Musa bin Umar, who was martyred on the day of the Battle of Uhud. We did not find anything to shroud his body with except a striped cloak. When we covered his head with it, his feet remained uncovered, and when we covered his feet with it, his head remained uncovered. So Allah's apostle ordered us to cover his head with it, and put some idkir, that is a kind of grass, over his feet. And there are some amongst us whose fruits have ripened, and they are collecting them, that is they have received their rewards in this world. Volume 5, Book 58, number 254, narrated by Abu Burda bin Abi Musa al-Ash'ari. Abdullah bin Umar said to me, Do you know what my father said to your father once? I said no. He said, My father said to your father, O Abu Musa, will it please you that we will be rewarded for our conversion to Islam with Allah's apostle, and our migration with him, and our jihad with him, and all our good deeds which we did with him, and that all the deeds we did after his death will be disregarded whether good or bad? Your father, that is Abu Musa, said, No, by Allah, we took part in jihad after Allah's apostle, prayed and did plenty of good deeds, and many people have embraced Islam at our hands, and no doubt we expect rewards from Allah for these good deeds. On that my father, that is Umar, said, As for myself, by him in whose hand Umar's soul is, I wish that the deeds done by us at the time of the Prophet remain rewardable, while whatsoever we did after the death of the Prophet be enough to save us from punishment, in that the good deeds compensate for the bad ones. On that I said to Ibn Umar, By Allah, your father was better than my father. Volume 5, Book 58, number 255, narrated by Abu Uthman. I heard that Ibn Umar used to become angry if someone mentioned that he had migrated before his father, Umar, and he used to say, Umar and I came to Allah's apostle and found him having his midday rest, so we returned home. Then Umar sent me again to the Prophet, and said, Go and see whether he is awake. I went to him and entered his place and gave him the pledge of allegiance. Then I went back to Umar and informed him that the Prophet was awake. So we both went running slowly, and when Umar entered his place he gave him the pledge of allegiance, and thereafter I